woman living in Missouri is suing major hair care companies after developing uterine cancer. Jenny Mitchell claims that using chemical hair relaxers and straighteners for almost 2 decades is responsible for her cancer. Her complaint comes after a National Institute of Health study suggested a link between chemical hair straightening products and increased risk of disease. ABC News' Mona Kosar-Abdi reports.
Major beauty brand L'Oreal and other makers of chemical hair straighteners under fire.
I am the first voice of many voices to come. We'll stand up to these companies and say no more.
Army veteran Jenny Mitchell and her attorneys, including Ben Crump, filing a lawsuit against 5 companies, claiming Mitchell's uterine cancer was directly caused by chemicals found in hair relaxers sold by those brands, which Mitchell says she started using as a child.
I underwent a full hysterectomy. Yeah, that was harder than the cancer diagnosis because I will never be able to carry my own kids.
The science was always there for everybody to see. And so we don't accept willful ignorance.
Mitchell was diagnosed with uterine cancer at 28. This lawsuit comes as the National Institutes of Health released a study that suggested a link with hair straightening products and an increased risk of uterine cancer in women who use them. Though the cancer is rare, Black women develop it at a higher rate than women of other races.
As an African-American woman, it is the societal norm to have your hair look a certain way. Don't wear your natural hair because it looks unprofessional.
Researchers didn't identify a particular ingredient in the trial. They also state more research needs to be done to link hair relaxers to cancer.
I tell my patients to avoid these products and to transition to natural. I think that it's going to make a huge difference in our health outcomes.
Mitchell wants to share her experience with other women.
I'm hoping to be a voice for millions of other African-American women out there. I don't want another me at 28 not being able to have a family of your own.
All right, Mona, thank you so much. Let's talk more about this and bring in Chief Medical Officer of Verywell Health and OBGYN, Dr. Jessica Shepard, also anchor and reporter at our station in Dallas, Tashara Parker, and celebrity hairstylist and author of Natural and Curly Hair for Dummies, Johnny Wright. Thank you all for being here. Dr. Shepard, what do you make of this link to hair straighteners, relaxers, and cancer? How concerned do you think women should be about this, especially Black women?
You know, I think reading this, for someone who has grown up having relaxers, I think that there is some concern and shock value when you think of a hair care product or a beauty product linking to a cancer. Now, as a physician and a clinician, I do think that there are important parts of this study. One being that we have opened up a way for us to look at research and how it impacts us in the daily things that we use in our lifestyle, such as beauty products, but also looking at uterine cancer and understanding the importance of other risk factors, say, but also giving us now responsibility to take something in our own hands that we can exclude from our everyday life and take away the societal shame that comes with not using a relaxer, and with not using a relaxer that can somehow improve our quality of life and decreasing our risk for uterine cancer.
So, Tashara, you have done stories on hair discrimination. And for those who don't understand what that means, just look at the 2020 study by Michigan State University, where Black women are more likely to be sent home from work because of their hair. And 80% of those women feel the need to change their hair from its natural state just to fit in at the office. So tell me about your personal experience and what inspired your series, Rooted.
Yeah, I think for a lot of us, when you think about a series, something like that about hair discrimination, Black hair discrimination is what it focused on, you think, oh, this can't be an issue, right? But then you hear that study from Michigan State University saying 80% of Black women in the workplace feel as if they need to conform or change from their natural hair state just so that they can fit in at the office. And you think to yourself, wow, I can't believe that this is actually an issue that is happening. And so when we did that series here at WFAA, it really just opened up our eyes to know that this was something that was happening to a lot of Black women, and it brought to light many of those issues that we continue to face. you know, for me, this was a personal decision, and part of that decision was showing up as my natural self, wearing my natural hair, right? You know, I would go to work as an entirely different person, like, good evening, thank you for joining us, and go home as someone else that wasn't Tashara. And it was a personal choice for me to continue to show up as myself with my natural hair in its natural state, as well as wearing natural hairstyles. And one of the reasons that I did that was because I didn't see it as often on the TV screen. So it was really important to me. And I think we got to get to a point where women don't feel as if they have to change who they are showing up in the workplace.
And you actually testified before the Texas Senate in support of a bill, right, that is yet to pass in your state. Can you just give us a little background about that?
Yeah, so I testified in support of the Crown Act in front of the State Affairs House Committee. And part of the reason that I did that was so that we can continue having these conversations, right? Oftentimes, if we don't continue talking about these issues, they're just kind of going to go under the rug. No one's going to remember that this was ever a concern. So we got to continue talking about it. So yeah, my station allowed me to go down in Austin to testify in support of the Crown Act, which would basically make it against the law for someone to discriminate against you based on hair texture. So very important law that we're hoping to get passed across the country. It's passed in several states, but that is definitely not enough at this point. We're trying to get to a point where it's passed at the federal level.
Johnny, what's your philosophy on all of this? And if a woman wants to change the texture of her hair, how do you approach it, and what do you suggest?
You know, there's so many different ways that you can change the texture of your hair. What people need to understand is heat styling does the same thing that relaxers do the hair, but just over time. So if you heat style your hair, if you choose to want to wear your hair straight, you don't want to wear your hair in its natural state, you can heat style your hair, and over time it will become straight. The thing is, I don't like to shame anybody for what they choose to do with their hair or how they choose to live their life, but there are just options out there for women, and I think that's what's so beautiful about textured hair. It's so much variety that you can do with it. You can wear it in so many different ways. You can wear braids, curly, and you also can blow it out straight.
Dr. Shepard, talk to us about these dangerous chemicals. What are they specifically? And then also, what do you think about the study that mentioning the hair straightening products in addition to the relaxers? Should women just nix all these products altogether?
Now, that's a very good question that you've brought out, because not only does it pertain just to hair product use, but these are what we're starting to see in beauty product as well, even as far as makeup. So what we have known for years is that there are products and the chemicals that they use, which they weren't able to specify or single out a specific chemical when they did this actual study on the 33,000 women. But we do know that some of these products actually have hormone disruptors, and we are starting to see a change in the community and society as far as what we're putting on our body or what we're adding to our daily beauty regimen, which may have ultimate outcomes for specific health things. And in this instance, for uterine cancer, what I did want to make some reference to as well is uterine cancer is one of the most common gynecologic cancers, but we do have seen that there's an increase in incidence and mortality rates over the past 2 decades. Now, that can be, again, exposure to excess estrogen, a hormonal imbalance, which, again, that hormonal imbalance can be caused by the use of some of the products, including relaxers. But what we do know is that also the foods that we eat, and obesity does play a huge factor when we think of risk factors for uterine cancer. So I like to make sure that we always bring everything into the picture. And now that we do know that there is a link between chemical relaxers, I think that this is a way that women can actually say, this is something that I can take control of, that they can take out of their routine to decrease uterine cancer risks in their lives.
And Tashara, you mentioned the Crown Act, which protects individuals from discrimination over natural and protective hairstyles in the workplace, schools, other institutions. It's passed in 19 states now. Do you see it passing in other states? And if not, what do you think is holding that up?
You know, I think, as I mentioned, it's all about conversations and really getting past the nuances of why someone feels like we need a law just so that we can exist as our natural selves. I mean, when you think about it at its core, the fact that we're sitting here having to have this conversation about a law just so that someone can show up, wearing their naturally curly hair in its natural state and not fear that they will be reprimanded about this, about their hair. And so I just think we need to remember to continue having these conversations. You know, it is my hope that it'll get passed nationwide, and we're still working for it to get passed here in Texas. So yeah, that's where we are at this point. And yes, it's significant that it's passed in multiple states, so we really got to get it passed on the national level.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like a no-brainer. Our hair is a part of who we are. It's a part of our culture. It's how we feel. I mean, there shouldn't be anybody discriminating against anyone for their hair. So, Johnny, I've got to ask you, because there's going to be a lot of people watching this going, ooh, he did Michelle Obama's hair. So where can women go to learn about their hair, good products, how to maintain it, maybe even catch you in a few tips?
I have the perfect answer for you. My new book comes out November 1st. It is called Natural and Curly Hair for Dummies. I partnered with Wiley & Sons to do this. It talks about hair biology. It talks about growth patterns. It tells you what the best ingredients are for your specific hair texture. And it walks through when you should get your hair cut, where to go to find a perfect hairstylist. All those things are right here in this book. I have a wealth of knowledge I wanted to share for you guys, and that's why I wanted to do this book. And it's all about natural and curly hair.
Okay, there you go. Tashara, Dr. Shepard, I'm going to connect you all. We're going to have a big hair party. And we're all at a book party. Clearly that segue was just perfect. Thank you all so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.